Hi friends, welcome back to the show today. I have something super special in store for you. I have not just one guest joining me for today's episode, I have 4 of them. And we're going to do something fun that I think you're really going to love. And it all goes back to something I've talked a little bit about on previous episodes, which is adding events to your business. And the person that I'm going to host this interview with is my girl, Lori Harder. You know her, you love her, you've probably heard her on previous episodes. And if you've listened to the show before, you know that Lori and I are teaming up to bring you Event Love, which is our 5-day in-person certification program for those of you who want to add a profitable event to your existing business. Maybe you want to host a workshop, a retreat, a mastermind, and you want to do it in a way that doesn't just become an expensive hobby. You want to learn the ins and outs of how to make an event equally transformational and profitable. And so today, what we thought would be fun, we're going to do this as a tandem interview that is going to air on Lori's podcast and mine. And we're going to interview 3 women who we each know, and they're women who host events of all different kinds and all different sizes. So today we're joined by Amber Lilyestrom, Jocelyn Freeman, and Taylor Wray. And each of these incredible women incorporate events into their businesses. And these events range in size from intimate workshops and international travel retreats to live events of hundreds of people. So we're going to talk about how to get creative and make the event that actually fits your audience and that your audience is really looking for. We go into everything. We talk about the fears that come up along the way of planning an event, what these women wish they would have known before diving in and having their first event, and then also just some of the biggest blessings that they've experienced by leaning into that fear and just going for it. So whether or not you ever plan to host an event or workshop of your own, I know you're going to take so many tangible action steps away from this conversation. So without further ado, let's dive in.
Okay, here we are. We're so excited to bring you this incredible podcast today because we have some amazing women with us. And Lindsay Schwartz and I have decided to collaborate on something that we are bringing you, which is Event Love, which is an event that is all about speaking, confidence, and learning how to do profitable events. And today we've brought together a group of women who are doing huge things out in the world. These are women who have impacted our lives, inspired us, have really blazed the trail in what they are doing in their businesses and with their events. So we cannot wait for you to meet them. And Lindsay, what's the intention? Like, what's the context for this podcast?
Well, as we were just starting to think about all of the people that we really want to impact with Event Love and the number of people that this is really for, we looked around in our lives at the women who are using live events and live experiences in really unique ways, all different ways. And I think that is something that really hits on a trend that is happening right now. You and Chris touched on this in a podcast that you did about live events being one of the biggest trends in 2020 and beyond, because as we probably all know, we're more connected than ever digitally, but people are craving in-person connection and community more than ever. So there literally could not be a better time to add events to an existing business, or if you just are feeling that call to create something to bring people together, whether that's 2 people, 200, or 2,000, there is a lot of opportunity and people are really asking for this right now. So if you're feeling called to do that kind of work, that's because people need your unique voice in the grand scheme of all the events and all the live experiences being offered. So we thought, how fun would it be, number one, to hang out with a couple of our favorites, our absolute favorite women on the planet. So this is really selfish. We just wanted to hang out with all of these women, but we also wanted to help you think creatively, help you think outside the box in terms of all of the different kinds of events that you could possibly add to your existing business or the one you're going to start. And also just the different ways that these women are approaching really the impact that they want to make and how live events are a part of this. So we can't wait for you to meet them. Without further ado, why don't we just allow them to introduce themselves, because they really are women who, like Lori said, that we really look up to and we've learned a tremendous amount from. So we're going to have them introduce themselves to you and tell you a little bit about the events and the businesses that they have started. And I'll let Amber take it away.
Lindsay, thank you. Lori, thank you. I appreciate you guys so much. My name's Amber Lilyestrom, and I'm a transformational branding strategist and business coach. And I do live events for a huge part of my living, and I weave that into all of my coaching programs. And the reason why events have been such an integral part of my business structure that I've created over the last 5 years here is because 10 years before that, I was doing athletic events for my alma mater, the University of New Hampshire. And in a year, I was producing up to 100 events and entertain. I mean, you guys, I was out there shooting the t-shirt cannon on the ice. I was singing the national anthem. I mean, I did all the things. I wore all the headsets, had the cell phones and the radios, and produced these amazing events that created emotional, transformational experiences for our fans and for our students and for our athletes. And I loved it. And so the idea of going into creating a coaching business and working from home and never going anywhere, never having those experiences felt impossible to me. And so I have high-end mastermind programs, and all of those include events. I host events every year, about 5 or 6 events a year that range from 20 people all the way up to 400 people and beyond. And it's really, really fun doing that. And I have a podcast. I'm also a mom and a wife and an athlete and a soul sister and all of those things as well. But I'm so excited to talk about this topic with you guys today, because live events is definitely my specialty and one of my most favorite parts of my business.
I love that so much.
Awesome.
Thanks, Amber. Okay, we're going to go to Jocelyn next.
Hey friends, double L, Lori, Lindsay, and the gals in the community. So Jocelyn Freeman here, and you'll likely forget my first name and just remember me as one of the Freemans. My business partner and life partner is Erin Freeman, and we're known as the Freemans. And we teach couples the relationship skills to be connected in any season of life and be the power couple they were meant to be. And we do that through what we founded was Empowered Couples University and creating personal development and relationship development courses, both online and in person, for couples to learn those skills that no one taught us in school. We didn't have Relationships 101 growing up. And so we do that. We have coaching programs, but events have been the core of us really being able to scale and get our message out there and build our brand. And I can share much more in depth. And if we have workshops, we call them couples workshops, couples brunches. And then we have had additional intermittent workshops for larger groups throughout the year, but our bread and butter has been the smaller, more intimate events, the workshops with anywhere from 10 people to 40 people, and those could be individuals and couples. And I can share later on just about how we've been able to turn those smaller events into profitable events, because we currently don't have the desire to do large events, right? And I'm excited to hear how each of you have done that. I respect that you guys have large events. And for us, we love the intimate, we love really interactive, and it's still been profitable for us. And we can share some of the ways that we do that. And I'm just happy to be here.
Yay. Well, I appreciate you so much. And I love how you're giving that perspective. Already, you're starting to see these are 3 women doing this and approaching events in very different ways. And that brings me to our third panelist, Miss Taylor Wray. So I'll let you introduce yourself.
Thank you, Lindsay. Thank you, Lori. So I'm Taylor Wray, and I am a yoga and mindfulness teacher. And I've been bringing community together. So community is the most important thing to me. And so I've been bringing community together through a few different events. And it started with yoga in the park. And then that kind of led to like, wow, this is so magical. And I started to lead yoga retreats. So we've led some that are in Sedona. We've led some all around the world. And then I also lead and instruct and certify new yoga instructors. So I have created my own 200-hour yoga teacher training program. And really the reason that like the events for me is so powerful in the yoga world is I have so many tools that I've learned as I've studied yoga, as I've practiced yoga for 15 years, that teaching a 1-hour class like just wasn't enough. And I had all these tools and was wondering, how can I give this more? So it's been amazing. I absolutely love all the events that I lead, and I'm excited to share more with you.
And you really hit on the first thing that we're going to talk about, Taylor, which is you started to feel like you had more to give, and you were looking for the best way to make that impact, a bigger impact on a greater scale. And I think that really is the heart of why a lot of us feel compelled to create live events. But I really would love to hear from each of you, and we'll just keep that same order. That way, those of you listening, you can decipher who it is that you're hearing from at each time. But we're going to have each of you answer this question. I would really just love to know, what was it that had you wanted to create a live experience, a live event of some kind? And I'm really curious to hear, because I know I had them. What were some of the fears, the initial fears that you had, maybe fears that stopped you for a while, or just fears that you had to really overcome and take action in spite of as you moved forward in creating your events and creating your businesses? So we'll start with Amber again.
The truth is, and Lori, maybe you can relate to this, growing up, I always wanted to be a pop star. Yes. I wanted to sing. I wanted to be on the stages. I wanted to do the whole thing. But there was this one little problem. I was afraid to sing in front of anybody except for like my dolls. So anyway, that we'll just put that over here. And then life went on, and, I was a Division I athlete, and then I got this job, and it was kind of like this pseudo way. I got to sing the national anthem. You heard that clue. And I got to produce these events, and I realized I really love these experiences and like playing with music and team entrances and mascots and all these just cool ways to create an emotional response from the audience. And then I had a near-death experience and left my corporate career and launched my own coaching company, because what I was really being called to in that season of my life was speaking about my own stories. And I've been on Lori's podcast, so you can listen to that to get the whole thing. But what I knew was, Lindsay, that I really wanted to create these types of emotional experiences in the context of personal development and growth, and specifically with female business owners, entrepreneurs who have a dream that is in them, that is for them, that is leading them to want to create something, but they don't know how. And I learned how, and I wanted to create this little workshop weekends, these little places for them to come home to themselves and to really carve out that space for those really sacred experiences of clarity. And so it was very clear to me, okay, I get to basically be a personal development rock star. All my pop star dreams get to come true, except I don't have to sing, though I did at one of my events, and I now tick that box and I'm good. I am complete. But I at least get to now do the speaking, and it's what I'm so passionate about. So I'm really living out my dream doing this. And I think it's so important to speak to that. This is my dream and I'm living it out. I have an event actually in 2 days. My living room looks like it blew up, and we are getting ready, as you guys know how that happens. But the fears that came with all this, it's like crystal clear, I want to do this. Okay. It's one thing to say I have a dream. It's now the second part to then actually have to act on it. And then to say like, hi, I'm doing this event at this venue and I want to have 100 people there. And I've never had an event that has my name on it. It's not the UNH Wildcats brand. And do you want to come? Will you support me? Will you give me things to put into my sponsorship bags? I have nothing to go on to tell you that this is actually going to be successful other than I'm really passionate and excited, and will you please help me? And so I want everyone that's listening to this to just know, everybody's nodding their head right now as I'm saying this, that you have to start somewhere. And all I knew was that I had enough experience in creating events that I could do something pretty great. The speaking part, I needed to practice. I needed to prep, right? I needed to but also there was no way to know anything until I actually got on that stage and held that microphone in my hand. And I had to be brave enough to do that. So that definitely is the biggest fear. And then the other piece, which I still think about, like, will anybody come? Like, have you guys ever felt that way? Like, that the tickets are sold, but you're like, I hope that they come.
Every time.
Like, I see all your names, but I'm not sure if you're actually going to come. And so this is just a normal feeling, and I'm going to bounce the ball over to Jocelyn to take it from here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I love that and relate to so much. So for me, really was multiple events that led up to me feeling that. It started to be, I was actually investing in myself, going to personal development, met both Lindsay and Lori at personal development seminars. And after a couple years of doing that, there got to be this point where I wanted to just go grab the mic from the leader and be like, I've got more to say. And just watching them, I started to get to this point where I wanted to be a little bit less of a consumer and more of a creator, and that I felt like something was going to burst inside of me. And then also looking for Erin and I, we felt like there wasn't a place that existed, even in the personal development world, for couples. So we noticed a gap in the industry, and maybe that's what has you want to create an event, is you're like, I can't find anything like the event I want to go to, or where these people are saying. And that's what we found was, couples weren't just wanting to sit in chairs facing forward and attend a seminar as individuals, and they wanted a community type of environment. And so we just started to realize we're missing somewhere we want to go. There has to be more people who feel the same way. And your audience and your community is going to feel the same way. Like, finally, someone created what I've been looking for. So it was really feeling like I wanted to grab the microphone and feeling like I couldn't find anything like what we wanted and other couples were looking for. And the fears, I'll just be really honest, besides not knowing how I would start it, I would say honestly, like, one of the big fears was like, what do I say at the beginning? Like, I stand at the front or wherever, the room is positioned. What do I say in the beginning, right? How do I not make it awkward? And how do I end it? A lot of it was just not looking bad, not looking like foolish and who is she. The other big thing was, especially when Erin and I put on our first event, which was now 2.5 years ago, was we were afraid that if only a few people registered, we would look bad. And that's, people often are fearing either not looking good or looking bad. And that was it. It was like, if people come and it's 5 people in the room, will we look bad? Will we not look cool? And that was just really honestly there. So as we've hosted our first event, and even through the first year, because we had events, at first it was twice a month, every month. Then we moved to monthly. We're at a different frequency now. And we were I had to consciously go, it's okay. If 5 people show up in the beginning, that's okay. And that was a big breakthrough, was being consistent. And a lot of people have asked us, how have you had couples show up every single month to an event? It's because we didn't quit when just 6 people came and 10 people came, and then it built and momentum gained. So those were a couple of my really big fears, many other ones, but that was one I had to really pause and check myself when I was starting to make it about numbers and let go of that people are going to judge how it looks, however many people show up.
Oh my gosh, that's so good. I think we were all nodding emphatically to all of that as well. Taylor, what about for you?
So for me, so I've been a full-time yoga instructor for 4 years now, and my business really took off about 2 years ago. And I remember, it was probably 3 years ago, I remember looking at these other teachers that had events and special retreats and things going on, and thinking man, I'd love to do an event. I'd love to be asked to do an event here in Phoenix. And I kind of just had that thought in my head and was like, why am I waiting for someone to ask me? So what started for me was, take action myself and let me just create an event. So I started with yoga in the park, and I've been doing that now going into the 3rd year, and it's really grown. And that's my local event people go to on a Saturday. It's been awesome. And that kind of showed me, oh, if I want something really, it's up to me. I have to go out, I have to take action, and I have to create it. And just trust the process. And then the other thing that kind of at that time was, as a yoga instructor, it's super easy to burn out in this career if all you're doing is teaching classes. And I was on that verge of burnout, and I was burned out really. And so I was teaching 15 to 20 classes and private clients a week, and thinking I cannot do this. This is not sustainable. And I just, again, it was that kind of same time, how am I going to shift to create an actual lifestyle that's sustainable and profitable, that I love, that I have free time in? And so that kind of like is what inspired me to say like, well, maybe I can lead a retreat. Maybe I could do this. Why not? People are doing it all the time. And that's really what started the like process of like what inspired me to like go big and to take action with it. And just like the other ladies, Jocelyn, Amber, like 100%, my fears are the same. Are they going to show up? Are people actually going to pay to come to this? What if I don't know what to say? What if I say something that doesn't make sense? Like all the same stuff, the ego, it just like it consumes, and then you have to catch that and say, you know what, like this is my dream, this is my vision, like I have to go through that fear or else there's no way around it. So I think that we all kind of nailed it. I agree with both of you on the fears.
Yeah. And I'm so grateful that you all shared something that was one of my biggest fears. Lori's nodding her head as well. And it's really important for those of you listening to know that if that's one of the things that's stopping you, if it's one of the things slowing you down and you keep getting ready to get ready, that fear will never fully go away. I know every year that I've done an event, and we just finished year 3 of doing our live event, it's your vision grows, your desire to make an impact will grow, and there's always going to be those fears, whether or not you step into actually doing something about them. So I love how you all talked to the fact that I just really want to underline this. There was a point where each of you felt like you were seeing other people do what you wanted to do, and you thought, I could do that. Mm-hmm. And I really want you to get, if you've ever been at an event, maybe you've been at Lori's event, mine, any event that you've attended, and you look at the stage and you think, I should be up there. That is a great feeling. You don't want, sometimes I think people feel guilty to say, I think I could do better, or I think I could do this event my own way. That is a calling. That means that there is someone out there who needs to hear your unique voice. And each of these ladies shared that was a big part of them stepping into this calling and now starting to impact the people that they have. So that's the second part that I want to talk about and have you share. Is we know that through the events that you're doing, you're impacting other people's lives. That is like no doubt. I've seen it firsthand myself. But I want to know, what were some of the benefits you got from stepping into that fear, right? Because there's benefits to us as well. So how has having your own live events impacted and changed your life? Like, what are some of the things that have opened up for you as a result of walking into that fear you all put into words just a minute ago? We'll start with Amber again.
Yeah. So for me, it really opened the doorway for me to fully step into my work and to embrace it. Because as you guys know, when you're up on that stage and the lights are on you and everyone is staring at you, you can't really BS your way through that. You know, everyone can see everything. They can see your heart beating in your chest. They can see your soul. And that there's no hiding. And so what it did for me was it challenged me to really step into myself in an even deeper way and to acknowledge everything that kind of comes with that. All of the imposter syndrome feelings, the feelings of, are they going to accept me? Is this good enough? But here's the reality. When you're sitting on that stage, the only thing you have to give is from your own heart. You can't access anybody else's. You can intuitively connect everyone in the room, which is my greatest strength and superpower. Thank goodness that I have that, because I'm not really great at like PowerPoints and preparation and having all these things. I go in the room and I feel what's happening there, and then I serve from that place. And it's the greatest high that there is. And so what has happened from that is it's only amplified that gift. And it's helped me to feel more confident in that, in my ability to serve and to show up in a room as a coach to serve people right where they are. And I think, Jocelyn, your example about seeing people and being like, I want the microphone. The person I wanted to take the microphone from was Tony Robbins. And I was at Day with Destiny and I was like, this event is amazing, but we need to do this for women. And so, Tone, I'm going to take your lead, brother, and I'm going to go create a women's Date with Destiny style, UPW style event, because sisters, we need this. And so I created the Ignite Your Soul Summit, and that's what that event is about. And that's what all my events are about. And so it helped me to really step into the clarity of what I'm here to do and how I'm supposed to be used in this lifetime, in this physical body and in this soul of mine. And it set my heart on fire to be more disciplined in my devotion to my own work and to my own purpose and to this life that I have. it has expanded me and in all of the ways, you guys, like to be healthier, to take better care of myself, to push myself, to learn more, to be a better coach in my technique, to learn how to better support my clients. So stepping into events has challenged me to become the best version of me every single day, like over and over and over again, especially doing 6 of them a year. I have to be a better version of me at every event. I have to just continue to improve. And I love that. I love being challenged like that, especially as someone who's an athlete. The second piece that in my business, how it has helped, and I'll just speak briefly on this, is just, I'm a transformational coaching and live events company owner. Like that's really what we do. And the live events piece is an integral part of the programs that we create. And the clients that I attract want to get on the plane and come to the events. And so it's also helped me to give back in my community. But what I will say is that there's a higher percentage of people from away than there are locally. And I choose to host my events in New Hampshire for the most part. I do take mastermind retreats to places like Nashville and LA and otherwise. But for the most part, I host the events here because I want to give back to my community and infuse in the economy here, and to help local business owners and to support them and their gifts in ways that maybe they wouldn't have access to. And also our local charities. I like to partner with those guys as well. So it's just helped to spread the love in a much bigger way in community and beyond. And it's also helped with just the business model of selling from stage, selling programs live and events. It's my favorite place to sell and to share and to invite people up and into their next level. And I know we'll talk about that more. But yeah, across the board, doing live events has just elevated me in every aspect of my life.
I'll jump in here. Love all of that as well. So I will answer this in like 2 or 3 ways, but I'll talk money first. I need to make some moolah for this passion, right? So from an income perspective, so we actually had a couples workshop on Sunday, which was coming back from the Fast Foundations Mastermind, which was awesome. And we led the couples workshop, and our ticket prices aren't that expensive. They're $197 for the couple. And so for us, and I'll share about this also in probably a future question, it's not even just ticket sales. So we are able to have people purchase programs and coaching at the event and then after, because we have a whole follow-up system. And so in that one day, made twice, if not 3 times as much of what I normally would have made in a month of work. And so just that type of impact, I know we're stepping over the impact, like, couples walking out saying it, change the trajectory of their relationship, but we're focusing on us. For me to walk out and go, wow, I not only got to impact multiple couples at one time, but I made a month's or twice as much of a month's worth of income in one day out of my entire month. And we could host those events, even more frequently than once a month. So just that sort of revenue has been incredible. And then people really do want coaching and support afterwards. So there's so beyond even that one day, there's so many other income possibilities after the event for you to be thinking about, and see that your effort really does have a ripple effect. And here's the other thing. People talk about it. You want to grow your brand? Events, because they go share with 10 people in their life, and all of a sudden you have a brand that's known around the state. And people say at parties, are you the Freemans? Right? Have I seen you before? That has happened because of events. There's no social media marketing we could do that's as powerful as people being impacted by you and going and telling so many people in their life. And so building your brand is incredible from events. And then I would also say, again, just even the power of consistency. So we committed, even if a few people show up in the beginning, we're going to stay consistent for a year. And then obviously now we've gone past that. And people notice. So if you want to be getting on the radar of these big players, the Brendan Burchards, the Tony Robbins, the Russell Brunson, all of those big guys, we were consistent, and someone watched us for a while, and they watched us be consistent. And then they just so happened to work for the company that started Tony Robbins and Dean Graziosi's mastermind. And they told them about us and said, this couple is a great example of you showing different income streams from events. And so they had our story featured on one of their master classes that went to hundreds of thousands of people. And they literally said, it's because we saw you keep doing it. So if you want to get on the radar of these big players and start to say, I'm going to have, be on their radar and I'm going to collaborate with them, be consistent with your events, that pays off. And then also just fulfillment. Like I was thinking about this, like even tearing up is, I always think about when I'm 80 years old, I'm going to go for 120, but 80 years old and I'm sitting there, I want to look back and be like, you did it. Like you played full out, girl, and I feel like that even now looking back at my year, I don't want to wonder what if I did go for it. So for me, I'm also freaking proud of myself and like really feel like I will complete my life in like another 100 years or so and really feel so proud of myself. And that is all I think that we can really shoot for.
Oh, so good.
Awesome.
That's amazing. It's Taylor here. So I just love everything you both shared and have a lot of similar experiences to say about that. I think the thing that it's done for me the most is it has shown me I've been able to see what I'm capable of through it. And fear used to paralyze me, and I used to not even try anything because I was afraid. And then I had to learn how to actually feel my fear, do it anyway, keep doing it. I'm always scared. Everything I do is terrifying, and I still do it. And the more that I do that, the more I see, oh, it's just part of it. So the more fear I feel, then that means I'm aligned, right? Like I'm doing something that's big enough, that's scary enough, and it's gonna happen. I think the other thing that it has also, like I can relate to you, Amber, is when I'm completely in my purpose, which is teaching yoga, teaching mindfulness, really teaching people how to connect to themselves. It's not about a yoga pose. It's about how to live this lifestyle of connection and teaching teachers how to share this gift. I am so in my flow state. Like I feel like I'm just so clear. I'm a conduit and everything just comes out so organically and intuitively. And that's like one of the most incredible things to ever experience. It's a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful feeling. I never knew it was even possible before I felt it. And that has been just absolutely incredible because now that I feel that, now I want more of that. I say, oh, that's what it feels to be in alignment. That's what it's like. So I can begin to follow that feeling. And through that, I've grown so much. The other thing is, the other thing is business-wise. So a couple things here. The more, like Jocelyn, you were saying, the more serious you are, the more consistent you are, the more people watch you doing this for a couple years, a little longer than that, however long, they want to be a part of it. So at this point, I've had like 5 people approach me to invest into me in somehow. And it's always kind of shocked me. I'm like, wait, what? You want to invest into me in my business? That's awesome. So more like opportunities, more connections in that way as well. And then the last thing I want to touch on is in January, I'll be 8 years sober. And when I first got sober, I worked 2 jobs. I worked like 60 hours a week in like food service and retail. I hated it. I was like scraping by financially. And I never thought that I could actually be living the life I'm living right now. I never thought it was possible. And what's really, really awesome, really exciting is that I just started my current 200-hour yoga teacher training. So I've got a group right now. And I've earned more in this one training than I used to in a year doing those 2 jobs. And it's incredible. It's like, it shocked me. And I'm like, hell yeah, I did this. Like I've worked so hard. It's been the hardest thing ever. And it's the most incredible thing. And as my partner always says, Tommy always says, because sometimes he would find me in tears, creating and developing, he'd say, if it were easy, everyone would be doing it. And they're not, because it's really, really hard at times, but it's so worth it. So.
Okay. Well, so far, this has been the most challenging podcast to not be like, yes, oh my God, and like talk to all of you, because I feel like I could sit in a circle and just really drop in with all of you over how much this has changed our lives, how much it has stretched us beyond anything we thought possible, and how much on the other side of the stretching is a life beyond our wildest dreams. And we're not even remotely, like, we're all just getting started, whether we're 5 years in or 10 years in. Like, this is just the beginning. And I think listening to all of you, I have had goosebumps the entire time, because I know what is required and I know who we're talking to. There's a lot of fear for the people who are listening to this right now, but there's also a lot of knowing. So thank you guys so much for sharing all of that, because it takes hearing other people, other women, in order to do it. Like, I know for all of us, it's because we had mentors and we had groups that we joined, and they joined different teacher trainings and gone to different events. And that's kind of a theme for all of us, is we were at events, we went to the events, and that's what started us on this other path. So you guys, I wish this was like a 4-hour thing. So, all right. So question number 3 for you guys: what do you wish that you knew before you had your events? But I also want to just tailspin off of that, the importance of obviously going through, the failure and the not knowing, and why that's so important. But what do you wish you knew before you started having events that would have really helped you on your journey?
No, I think because I had done events for so long, that when I got to doing my own live events, I was actually surprised at how much I knew that really paid off, from all of those years of schlepping t-shirts and, oh my goodness, you guys, like falling on the ice and having flyovers, like have the wrong timeline, and just disaster city. I mean, it's like I experienced the worst things happening all the time in collegiate athletics. So it really prepared me for, I was like, this is like child's play, but there were things that came up that I think, and I was jotting these down while you were speaking, Lori, because I think that this could be really helpful advice for those who are embarking on the journey of their first events and maybe 10th events, but need to hear these reminders, because we can always continue to learn. It would be, the first is that I didn't schedule a break after on the other side. So I did my first live event. Oh my goodness, 100 people, right? I like my whole heart poured out. And then I had to like get back in the saddle and coach and mom and do everything right after and I thought I was going to die. And I don't know why. I just didn't think about it. So now I go in, I plan my whole calendar for next year, and I have buffers on the other side of my events to give myself space and time to decompress, to take care of myself, fill back up, all of that. That's a really basic one, but sometimes we forget that. The second is, live events cost money. And they are, that kind of money can feel like basically feel like it's going to break you. And I would say this last summit that I did, we went from 100 to 200 to 400, and we went to a much bigger venue. And it was my dream venue, the Portsmouth Music Hall. Stunning, amazing, everything that I wanted it to be and beyond. But I knew that it was going to also financially really, really push us and push me. And when, I'm a big firm believer of the law of attraction, and where your focus goes, your energy flows and all this. And of course, when you're planning a live event, your energy really does have to go to the planning of the live event, which means that you're probably not going to be bringing in a lot of clients in the season of which right before you're really trying to get this all dialed in. No matter how much you're like, I'm still doing this over here, the sales kind of like trickle down a little bit, because it's like, yo, you need to focus on your event right now, girlfriend. And this year alone, I was having heart palpitations and getting so stressed out because we were being so stretched financially to get into this event, even with sponsorships, even with help, which is another area for continued growth. But then we sold multiple 6 figures from stage. And as Jocelyn said, like in a day, it was like, okay, I can breathe again, And so it's like mitigating that going forward, really getting clear on what is required, what is a necessity for your event, and what's just kind of like, oh, that would be great, pie in the sky, to invest in that. The only way to know that is obviously to learn from people like yourselves, right? And from others who've done this before, to get an idea, to set that budget, and then it's to do it. And to be brave enough to do it. And then also to use it as a catalyst, not as to put you into a place of fear where you're selling and being desperate, because that can happen, right? And that's a fine line. But coming from stage and really getting into your authenticity and getting into that space and learning tools and techniques to do that better, to connect deeper, to create experiences in a sacred container for that decision-making process that is very intimate and very important for your audience, and to not rush through it because you're in a place of, not being super present because you're worried about your financial situation. So I learned so much through this process. And at the end of the day, you guys, I just want to say this. I always ask my husband to say this to me when I'm having I'm panicking. I say, can you just say it? And he goes, everything's going to be okay. I say, thank you so much for saying that. If for some reason, when you say it, it just feels so much better. And so that's just part of it. And I think also making sure that in the preparation process, you have mentor, you have support, you have friends that are there to help you kind of talk you off the ledge through the process. No matter what, it's going to get a little chaotic. I find that for every one of my friends who's ever done a live event, it just gets a little crazy. And remember, it's a season, it's a moment, it's exciting. Allow it to thrill you. This is you living out your dreams. And remember, it's just like really dropping into the truth of that. And I could go on and on and on, but I'm passing the ball to Jocelyn.
I love it. Okay. Well, first off, I wish Event Love would have existed. Dang it. That would have saved a lot. Thanks for doing it years later, ladies. So, okay, a few things definitely jump out of mind. I would have, and we learned this a few events in, but had we known the first event that people need to know what is the next step. And what I mean is, if you have events that are even the next year, or for us, like I said, we were doing twice a month and then went to monthly, having them actually register then. Don't say, all right, go to the page and register for the next one. Give yourself permission to have them register right then. And actually people go like, thanks, that was so much more convenient. I didn't want to have to go onto a web page again. And then the other thing is, besides even signing up for the next event, give yourself permission to give them the next step, an offer. And even I keep being reminded of how powerful it is. We actually had a couple that just started to work with us a couple of weeks ago. She said she went to another couples retreat by someone else in another state. And the host just said, all right, see you later. Good luck, bye. And they were actually really disappointed. Like they were like, what the heck? Like we went to this retreat and now we don't have any next support. And it was just a reminder to ourselves of it is helping them when you make an offer, and that you can do it in a way that doesn't feel like a hard sales pitch. And that's something Erin and I really kind of locked in, is how to have it feel really authentic, because it is. This is, hey, you're going to leave and life is going to happen. And so you've got to have the tools for what to do next. And your audience will feel the same way. So releasing this whole, like, I shouldn't sell things, and they already came to the event, why am I telling them about something else? They came because they need to learn something. They wanted to learn something. They wanted to experience something. And the event is the catalyst. It's the launch. It's the inspiration. It's the huddle. But they want support going forward. And two, I wish I would have known to both focus on mastering speaking skills and sales skills. And that's what I love what you guys are doing with Event Love, having both of those, because it is so key, and people are kind of disappointed when there isn't a next step. So both speaking skills and sales skills, and then just a couple really short ones that you don't have to have crazy decorations. We have such a simple room, and I'm always like, dang, Lindsay and Lori's, their events are like a gala and they're gorgeous and they're beautiful. And that's their intention. They want to have this beautiful environment. For us, our couples don't really care. For them, they're there to, do the work, sit down. So you don't have to feel pressure to make it this glorious, glamorous event if that's not what is your brand, and also that's not what your audience is needing. And that people still are just so grateful to be there. We do really simple things and people love it because they're really there to focus on the work and be present. So simple decorations, and that you can ask for help, ask for people to assist. In some ways, a lot of people are like, oh, thanks so much. Don't hesitate to ask people in your life to help. And then getting testimonials. I would say get testimonials at every single event and use those to market the future ones. What about you, Taylor?
Awesome. Thanks, Jocelyn. So I think for me, one of the biggest things that I learned on my first yoga retreats a couple years ago to Costa Rica was how much, so it was a 6-day retreat, and it's like a week-long event really, and how much energy it like truly took out of experienced it, right? So I was there and I felt like I had to be with the group at all times, like really like just be with them at, always going here, going there, adventuring like constantly, until I realized I didn't need to be. But I learned that because I really like crashed after. Amber, like you were saying, like give yourself time after. And I didn't really know what that was going to feel like until I felt like really just like, holy crap. I was so like dead feeling. I was so fatigued. I was drained. I was exhausted. I felt depressed. And I planned that retreat literally like 9 months. So it was like I actually like had a baby, and once the retreat was there, like it was like the birth of my baby. And after, I didn't give myself that time to like really stop and like slow down and check in. And looking back, I kind of understood how much I gave, and having more boundaries now with, especially if it's like a week-long retreat, like I don't have to be with them always. I can step back. I can go do my own thing during the day until we're back at night and like really recharge. So I can actually give more. I think that was really big for me, something that would have been awesome to have that conversation with someone ahead of time. And the other thing I think I've really learned, and that would have been helpful, is I have an outline for my retreats or my trainings. There's certain content I want to cover, but like that kind of first 2 retreats, I felt like I had to stick to it so strongly that I wasn't able to like be with who showed up, because I was like, no, this is what I planned. This is the outline though. Like I have to cover this. And instead of like, allowing the conversation to shift to the needs of the group. And I figured that out during it and was like, I need to like let go of the plan. Yeah, I still have an idea of it, but like I have to trust myself that I can speak intuitively to what's needed.
Wow, you've each said something that I have experienced personally. And I can't tell you how everything that you all added is so incredibly vital. That is going to be so helpful for people. It was helpful for me to remember that, because we can forget, right? You do an event and you forget, and then you're like, oh, that's right. So it's really cool to just have confirmation in what we're already doing as well. So you guys actually kind of touched on the last question. So I'm going to add another piece to it. So in wrapping, you guys, because this has been just filling my soul. So hopefully it is filling everybody who's listening. I would love to know, what is your best tip in making your event profitable, which you guys kind of touched on, like make sure they have the next step, which is so powerful. I did my first event, and I did not have the next step, and everyone was like floundering. They were like, what do I do? It was actually like, I felt so guilty because they didn't have another place to go. And what happens is they will go with people in your audience who have something else to offer. So you better kind of like have something to offer that you feel great about for their next step. So what is your best tip for creating a profitable event, whether that's planning from the beginning? And also just in conclusion, because I know we're nearing the end of our time here together, why must they do this if this is in their heart?
So I want to just speak to the ticket sales piece. And one of the things I learned as a sport marketing professional, having to move tickets every single week for all types of events, is that you have to get attention. You have to be, whether it's this big rival that we're playing, well, that helps. But when you're playing, a Tuesday night against an out of conference team, nobody wants to come to the game. And so we learned how to be really creative, whether it was like hot dog night or something, or t-shirt night, or group sales, like Boy Scouts, Girl Scouts, every scout in the world come to the game. And so when we went from 200 seats to now a venue that actually seats 900, but we were going to fill the whole bottom section, which was 400, I knew we needed to be creative, right? I knew that, especially because y'all, we live in New Hampshire. And so when was the last time anybody listening to this came to New Hampshire? Maybe it was for the Ignite Your Soul Summit. But it's not necessarily like a destination hotspot for this personal development world of amazing humans. And so I knew we needed to be creative. And so I want to just give you full permission to be creative and do promotional periods and do fun things with ticket sales. If we're talking volume, especially, we had seats to fill. And so what we did, and I'll share this quick tip because it was amazing. We did a buy one, get one promotion, and we did it for a short period of time. It was like a Black Friday kind of thing. And what happened with that, this is the result on the other side of it. I was just at the place like, I don't care. You get a ticket and you get a ticket and you get just let's get people in the building, because when they're there, they're going to transform, they're going to be moved. And then they're also going to be someone that I can invite up into the programs that I'm selling. And what we realized and what we learned was that we had a very high percentage of conversions that were actually the BOGO people who joined the mastermind and joined the programs. And they bought a $5,000 program off of a free ticket. I'd say that's a pretty good ROI, through that decision to go there with that. And so I want you guys to just be really creative in your process. And I know that Event Love's going to talk about that. Lori is incredible at moving tickets for Bliss and selling that thing out. And Lindsay is incredibly accomplished in doing the same with her events as well. And I think that's the big thing for me that I've learned. That's how to make it profitable, is to be really creative and to be nimble and to not be rigid and saying like, well, it has to be this. I mean, I had a live event recently that I actually dropped the price. I realized that, we're doing this on weekdays and my audience actually needs weekends because I have a lot of moms. And in my region, they're not going to buy the $500 ticket. Okay, great. No problem. We're just going to change it. It's no big deal. It doesn't mean that we suck or that it's not worth it. I just want to get people in the room to help them have a transformational experience. And that is my ultimate goal. And so we did that. We've also done nominations to have people nominate someone to come for free and then weaving that all in. So play, that would be my invitation, is play and be creative. And then to answer that last piece, Lori, we're not meant to do this by ourselves. It's why you want to do a live event. You want to be with people and you want to be in community, and you're going to have a much better event if you allow guides who've already been there and done that to support you in the process. So, I mean, all of the hands up for bringing the beautiful soul-centered soul sisters, Lori and Lindsay, to guide you on that journey.
Thank you so much. Jocelyn?
Yes. Okay. So love and agree with everything that was said. I would also add that going back, I would have had earlier on, even before hosting the event, multiple people review the page. So you can write it in your language and from your heart, and it cannot land with people. And you can be frustrated, like, why aren't people signing up? Or why is it like so slow? Only a few people. There's a disconnect. And so I would have people review it, because I actually hear some people share and they're kind of like really attached to the language they use. But if your audience isn't clicking in with it, it doesn't matter if it resonates with you. And so I've had to humble myself and actually have other people give feedback of, actually, this is how I would genuinely say this in my words, and have that be what's on the page. And so definitely having people in like your ideal avatar review the page, give you feedback. And then even another activity you can do with that is interview people and capture their exact language of why they would come to an event. What are their pain points? And that's something really, your page has to highlight pain points. And one of the things I used to do in the beginning was all the positives, like here's all the butterflies and rainbows and all the good reasons to come to this. But honestly, it's pain that converts the most. And so giving yourself permission to highlight those pain points and not feel like you need to soften it or make it more gentle, because that's what has people click that button and go, they are speaking to my pain points. I've got to be in this room. So interviewing people, getting their language is extremely helpful. And then also just keeping it simple, and especially your first couple. Again, you don't have to do ornate things. It doesn't have to be over the top. Don't put that pressure on yourself for the first one. Make it about getting those first couple in, getting feedback, because it's really the content that is going to have people come back the next time. Of course, the environment and the experience is somewhat of an element, but focusing the most of your time and attention on the content and how you're going to support them afterwards, and having, again, even if it's a smaller group, great, celebrate that and get the testimonials, and then you'll be able to improve the marketing for the next one. So have your next one scheduled. Even before your first one, have the next one scheduled so you're held accountable for it. And then I would honestly say, it's a no-brainer to do Event Love. I wish it had existed when I was starting events back then, and there weren't programs like this. And if you are feeling that call to be on stages or host workshops or lead retreats, and you don't want to, at 80 years old, look back and say, I didn't play full out. I didn't really give it my all. I wish I would have known what it'd be like. It's really a no-brainer, and I have had so many miracles and abundance happen in my life because I invested in myself. Almost the bigger the investment, the bigger the breakthroughs that come afterwards. Mm-hmm. So I just would say, knowing both of them, having participated in content they both have created and produced, they deliver, and to just trust that intuition and go for it, invest in yourself. You will be proud of yourself and you'll enjoy the ride.
Thank you so much. Taylor?
Yes. So I have a couple things to add. And I think the first thing is to actually really know your numbers. There was a lot of little surprises in my first retreat, and I still profited, which was awesome. I still made something, and it wasn't as much as I would have liked or hoped for, but I learned so much and I didn't lose money. So it was a total win and it was awesome. But there was a lot of little details that I wasn't aware of that could come up. So really digging into your numbers and then price accordingly. Don't be afraid to charge. And I also was afraid to charge that first one. I went pretty low. I was like, are people going to pay? Are they actually going to show up? And they did, and they still have been, and the prices have gone up and they're going to keep going up, and I'm going to get more, and I trust that. But even if I would have lost money on that first retreat, I wouldn't have given up. And I want people to really get that. Even if you lead an event the first time and you lose money, don't give up. Because all that is time for you to grow and learn. And then take that experience into your next one, and then you can earn something. And then your next one, you earn more, and it keeps growing. The other thing that I found that really works for me is to hype it up way before launch, way before registration opens. So before teacher training registration opens, before the retreat opens, I start to talk about, hey, we're going to Peru next year. It's going to be awesome. We're doing this and that. And I just start to get this conversation around, and people hear it. It's exciting. And then by the time that I actually open registration, people are signing up instantly. And so it starts the snowball effect, and momentum is right away. And that's worked really good for me. I think those are my two things on that. And then really to close it is why to do events is because if you have an idea or a vision and you don't follow it, you're going to have that tapping you on your shoulder forever. It's going to tap you in your heart space, and you're going to feel like you're not living in your purpose. And that's one of the worst feelings ever. So to follow that is to follow your purpose. It's to step into your fear. It's going to be scary. You can't get around it. So you have to do it. You have to go through it. And to actually lead events, to be in community is one of the best things ever. It's so special. So that's where I'm going to end it.
Okay. So many things. I was taking notes. I learned so much from all of you. And this is the power of you guys. There's 5 of us on here. Can you imagine if there is a full room? And I know that you all put yourselves in the rooms, and this is how we grow in the fastest way, is because when we get together like this, I mean, I am so recharged. I have learned so much from all of you. And everything that you shared, I could not relate more in one way or another. I know Lindsay is feeling the exact same way. I really feel like if you are listening to this podcast, you know exactly what you're supposed to be doing right now. If you listened all the way to the end, this is probably the exact place that you're supposed to be, whether you join Event Love or whether you just move forward in getting more information on doing your own events. Because exactly what you said, Taylor, and I know it was the same for all of us on here. If we did not do it, it would eat us alive. It would consume us, because it is the purpose that we are on the planet, is bringing community together and leading that and showing other people what it looks like. And I will tell you, when I've watched all of you do your events, it lights me on fire and just makes me want to be better with mine and to also support each other throughout all of that. So grateful for all of you. This was like such a beautiful, amazing, nurturing hour. I love you guys so much. I'm so inspired by you every day. Linz, any last closing sentiments?
Oh my goodness. I'm feeling the same things that you are, fist pumping every step of the way. And I think just what Taylor said really hit me, that I just remember being in the fear and thinking, okay, this is really freaking uncomfortable to step forward into my purpose, but it's just as uncomfortable not to. And I think that's what we want to leave everyone with. So thank you so much for tuning in. This was such a fun little tandem podcast. And thanks, ladies, for being here with us.
Thank you, guys.
Bye, everyone.